Welcome back to Crossfire. We're just a little over about 5 hours now from a government shutdown, and there's still no clear way forward. And part of what's causing all the confusion, I think, is that the rhetoric has gotten way out of control. I want everybody to listen to what a Republican congressperson told Wolf Blitzer the other night here on CNN.
This is worse than the pro-slavery legislation?
I can't think of anything right now that could be more damaging for our economy than passing and putting into effect and implementing
I understand you believe it's dangerous now, but you said it's the most dangerous piece of legislation in the history of the United States.
Yes, I think so.
And I'm asking if you think it's even worse than pro-slavery legislation.
I haven't drawn any comparisons between Obamacare and any specific law in the past, and certainly archaic laws like that are no longer in effect, I can't really comment to. But the point is that Obamacare is hurting Americans.
Now listen, I know that this guy did not mean to come across as offensive as he did. But I got to tell you, when you start, as he did, brushing up on comparing it to slavery, and it's worse than anything ever, including slavery, the internment of Japanese. I mean, we've had some really bad stuff happen in this country. Would you say that Obamacare is worse than that? I think when you get to the point where you have leaders of a major political party who are taking a bill and putting it at that level, I think things have gone way off the rails. You don't agree that Obamacare is worse than slavery, do you?
No, of course not. But the emotions are very high right now. I'm not excusing what he said, but it makes sense that people make statements that they don't believe out of just emotional fury and because of what's going on.
Well, I just have to say, I feel like, you have a major political party that has some responsibility here. There's been a lot of fear that's been whipped up about this bill. Frankly, it is weird to me because a lot of the stuff, as I've said, these are Republican ideas we put forward. But to cut on TV and hear that kind of stuff, don't you think that on your side, you need to, when people do get out of line like this, say, listen, that's not appropriate? I didn't hear anybody from the Republican side say that was inappropriate.
That's the first time I'm seeing it.
Well,
but
the president
certainly shouldn't have said it.
And the president called attention to another state legislator who literally said that it was the same as the Fugitive Slave Act. And I just think that stuff's wrong. Don't you agree with me?
Well, look, first of all,
what do you agree?
Unless you have experienced it or looked at it or studied it, you can't imagine how bad slavery was for several hundred years, how bad legal segregation was for over 100 years, and I think anything which compares to that is inappropriate. But on the other hand, let's talk about this harsh, because I think your point about harsh language is right, and we live in a period where we've had bombing in Boston, we just had the killings in Nairobi, and here is what one of President Obama's closest advisors said recently. Just look at this.
We are for cutting spending, we're for reforming our tax code, we're for reforming our entitlements. What we're not for is negotiating with people who have a bomb strapped to their chest.
Now, it strikes me at a time when people with bombs strapped to their chest is a very real thing, that Dan Pfeiffer said that candidly, if I were still Speaker, I would have told the White House, if he keeps his job, don't expect to negotiate with us, because we're not talking to anybody in the White House. I mean, that is so offensive to me, to have somebody in the White House compare their American political opponents with suicide bombers. There's something almost sick about it. But, I mean, don't you think that's way over?
Well, look, I think, first of all, I'd be the last person to criticize people for rhetoric. You can just Google some of the things that I've said over the years. So, I'm not sure that I'm the best judge. I would say that Congressman Nunes today used the same Republican used that same terminology in describing what the right wing in the Republican caucus is doing. He said they're lemmings with suicide vests attached to them. So he actually agreed with Dan Pfeiffer's. But rhetoric aside, what's most, I think, frustrating about the debate is the rhetoric does hide the substantive argument. For example, I think the gentleman's clip that you played said that Obamacare is the worst thing, that could happen. That it's and you hear this all the time. Ted Cruz, it's a job killer. The fact is, if you want to argue it on the facts and get rid of all of this rhetoric, Obamacare proponents will win every single time on the facts. On the facts. It can't be
that is not close. I mean, that.
Well,
like
I imagine.
Go down the list of
look,
all the wrong things that are going on with Obamacare.
Let's take your top talking point. Top talking point of the right is that Obamacare is a job killer. Well.